Hello, everyone, and welcome to the InBizLV Podcast, the podcast for business people, entrepreneurs, and anyone who cares about business. I'm Mark Fierro. As the fallout from the economic devastation caused by the coronavirus reverberates throughout Southern Nevada, there could be a glimmer of hope on the horizon for small business owners. If your business has been hurt by the coronavirus, and I don't know of too many who haven't been, you need to listen and share this podcast with other entrepreneurs in Nevada. The Small Business Administration has created a disaster loan program for small business that have been shut down or have had their operations drastically reduced due to the impact of the coronavirus. Today, the District Director of the SBA in Nevada, Joe Amato. Also joining us, John and Tim O'Reilly, friends and colleagues of our firm, Fierro Communications. John O'Reilly is perhaps best known as a former head of the Nevada Gaming Commission. The O'Reilly Law Group focuses on legal and entrepreneurial needs of Southern Nevada businesses. Mr. Amato, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's an absolute pleasure. I loved your opening. I couldn't have said it better myself.
You are a busy man these days.
Yes, there is not a spare moment, and we're basically working 20 hours a day at this point.
It sounds almost too good to be true. Tell us about the idea behind the loans, what it takes, the range of loans that people can apply for.
Well, the SBA Disaster Loan Program has been available for decades, since the SBA started. But most of the time, it's natural disasters. We're talking about hurricanes, tornadoes, floods. This is the first time we've ever faced an economic disaster, and I'm not quite sure anybody in Washington or in the processing centers realize the deluge that's about to hit them. What we're doing as the Nevada District Office, the part of the SBA that I run specifically or directly, is we're trying to be there for every small business that's been affected, and it's whether or not directly from coronavirus or some of the mandates or edicts that have been passed lately from even our governor's office and the 30-day closure. So our focus right now is to provide access to capital through the disaster loan program. It's called the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. There is up to $2 million available per business. It is based on need. It has a loan amortization or term that's up to 30 years. And if you're a for-profit business, it could be 3.75% loan. And if you're a nonprofit business, which is also available for disaster loans, it could be 2.75% interest. So they're really trying to figure out the best way to get money out there to the businesses that are hurting. And I don't know any business that isn't hurting during this time.
And these are historic low rates. I mean, this is about the best picture that you can get for any loan, irrespective of the duration or the rest of it.
Well, somebody who may be eligible for like a $2 million loan with a 30-year amortization, first of all, they won't have to make one payment for 12 months. So you don't make your first payment till 13 months. Their belief is that it gives you some time for not only this to be settled as far as the coronavirus is concerned, but also to be some recovery time and some escalation and scalability to solvency and back to normalcy. So they're figuring the first payment's not due for till the 13th month. Secondarily, the payment's going to be low. I mean, you do a $2 million loan, 3.75%, your payment's somewhere in the $9,200 range. And 13 months from now, that should be very affordable to somebody who might borrow $2 million. The other part of it, you can prepay it without any kind of penalty. So if a business comes back strongly and they're in a good financial position, it's not a loan that has to be saddled with over time, because there are some conditions that some entrepreneurs and business owners don't want. I mean, they do not have to be fully collateralized, but the loans will be collateralized if collateral is available. They also have to be personally guaranteed like any other SBA loan. So great entrepreneurs that are going to rebound quickly and get back to solvency quickly, they're going to probably want to get rid of them as quickly as possible. And there's a very high repayment rate. People that get disaster loans normally are very grateful. Once their business are stabilized, they're very eager to pay them back.
John O'Reilly, former head of the Nevada Gaming Commission, what happens if these loans weren't available? The economic picture out there is not good at all.
No, I think it goes far beyond not good. It's very bad. In fact, perceived by many to be disastrous. I think part of the pressure is not knowing where to turn, and having Joe and the Small Business Administration there to assist is critical. I think equally important is going to be the relationship that each of our clients and other clients, other businesses, small, medium, and large, have with their lenders and their financial institutions, because I think we need to keep in mind it's not just the businesses we're talking about, but everybody upstream and downstream. And by upstream, I mean the lenders who are not on the property day to day. And downstream, it's a positive term, not a negative term, are all the employees and vendors that service them. So it's that whole stream of commerce that is shut down that's going to have to recover. And I think that what Joe is so good at and so experienced at, and how fortunate we are to have you in our community and the government program that can make a huge difference, I think is going to make a huge difference to those who qualify and take the time to qualify. And it's like any loan application. It's going to take some work to go through the application, and it's also going to be an opportunity for anybody that is going to apply to get their business foundations, as I call it, in order. If they're a corporation, they better check to make sure they've actually issued stock certificates and they've done their minutes, they've got their bylaws in place, and they basically have run their business the way they know they should have. So instead of sitting home fretting and going stir crazy, my strong suggestion is that everybody take this opportunity to do something positive that can plan for the future of their business. And I think they're going to be shocked with proper planning, proper legal advice, proper accounting advice, and being prepared to ask for the assistance. They're going to get it. If they're not prepared, they can ask all they want, and they're not going to get it because they're not going to qualify. So I think it's an incredible opportunity, I think, to turn a very, very bad situation into a good situation. Today, that's hard for any of us to believe, but I think those that have been around here for many decades, as our firm has, know that you can say, and it doesn't sound right today, but you can believe, and it will be true, that the best is yet to come. And it's not tomorrow, the next day, but it will, because the bad news is we're all affected by this. The good news is we're all in this together, and we need to work together to get out of it together.
Joe, you mentioned these loans were really set up historically for natural disasters. So you've got a house that gets taken out, maybe you get an area that's taken out, but all of these businesses have employees. It's their mortgages, it's their car payments. There is no coming back from this unless these loans are in place, because I just don't see this turning around in the next 2 or 3 weeks where everything's going to be hunky-dory. And even if it does, there's so much lag time. This is really about saving jobs, isn't it?
Absolutely. And John, thank you so much. Your insight was great. We are hoping that in the next 2-3 weeks that the coronavirus itself, the direct impact to health will be diminished or greatly diminished. That is our hope. That's what I pray for every day. But as John alluded to, I mean, this is affecting everybody up and down the supply chain. And what we're focusing on is obviously the businesses that are within the resort supply chain. And then we're also really focusing on businesses that are outside the resort industry completely, because we have built a new economy here in Las Vegas and in Nevada that exceeds just what the resort industry is and what the mining industry. The first thing I found when I came here 3 years ago is that, we're a resort state and we're a mining state. But that has changed a lot in just 3 years. So what we're doing is to sort of combat that. And it's not only the business itself, it's the gig economy. It's the individuals. I've talked to more Uber and Lyft drivers, more trainers and gyms that are independent contractors. They're not employees. So they can't go to the unemployment office. They can't collect an unemployment check. What's it, $417 a week at this point, which can help some people put food on the table without a doubt and pay some limited bills. But what happens to the independent contractor? Well, one of the programs we set up under the SBA is that if you are an Uber driver, you have been collecting a paycheck, or collecting money as either a sole proprietorship, some of them set up as LLCs, they can basically petition the SBA for a disaster loan. And what's amazing is we've done something that under $25,000, $25,000 or under, they basically get by just filling out the online application. It takes a little bit of time, but they fill that in, they don't request the $25,000. They show what kind of obligations they have, and that's sort of the nuance here with the way this is done. It's not like you go to the SBA and say, I need $1 million. You go to the SBA and there's a document called Schedule of Liabilities, and that Schedule of Liabilities, you basically outline the loans that haven't been deferred or abated. You outline your leases, your rents, the things that you can't get away with not paying, the obligations you might have contractually as an operating entity, your staff that you need to keep, whether it's skeletal staff, whether it's a partial staff, or you're a fully operational company because you're exempt, and what it costs to maintain your staff, with the understanding that your revenue has dropped off significantly. So they look at revenue, but they look at the schedule of liabilities. So say in your schedule of liabilities you have $30,000 a month in obligations that you cannot get away from. The SBA will look at that. They'll take a look at that as a 6-month window and a 12-month window, and they'll most likely afford you the 12-month window. So 30,000 times 12. They'll contact you and say, listen, we've approved $360,000 for your business. There's going to be a 15-year amortization, 3.75% fixed. Are you interested in a loan? And that's the way it happens. If it's less than $25,000, all you do is the application. As long as you have a reasonable expectation of repayment, they're going to give you $25,000 with no additional documentation. And I just found out just recently, the SBA administrator just approved that if the loan is under $500,000, that you would be able to get that loan just by the application that you put in on the line. No further tax returns or anything are done unless there's some questions about what you've submitted. So they're looking for ways to not only satisfy the resort. I've talked to I've talked to some of the major resorts, talked to the procurement offices. You have one major resort we've talked to has 1,100 vendors. Majority of those 1,100 vendors are small businesses. We want to help every one of them. I don't care if we have 600,000 applications out of Nevada. If there's 600,000 businesses that need disaster relief, we're going to provide it to them.
Think of the property owners that just lose everything if those employees at the business that you're talking about all of a sudden say, sorry, I'm not paying the rent. I can't pay the rent. Somebody has to step in. It's great to hear that somebody is thinking about stepping in and doing something. Tim, your firm has always been known not simply as a law firm, but so many of the clients that you handle, it always has an entrepreneurial angle to it. It's cash flow that takes these guys out. That's what always does it, isn't it? And then they never end up coming back.
Absolutely. Before I go there, Mark, I want to thank Joe and his team in terms of all the efforts that they're putting together to help our community of Las Vegas. It's critical. But going back to the cash flow, it's a significant asset and significant tool for these small businesses to succeed. It's the foundation, along with their documents that they're using in terms of moving forward. As John alluded to, it's time everybody takes a deep breath. Yes, it's some challenging times right now. However, we can see the opportunity with these challenging times as they take a deep breath, realize where they're at right now, realize where they want to go in the future. So as we work together, moving forward with this, yes, the cash flow will be a challenge, but see what else you can do to help your business while the cash flow is being sought after and obtained.
I would say this: there are a couple of things that we may not know in general, but things that we can hope for, and one of them is this: is that the coronaviruses as a class of disease, they don't do well in heat. They don't do well at 70 degrees or 80 degrees. By next month, we should be well into those kinds of numbers. And if they can hang out until 105, this is probably one of the only places in the Western world that's going to get to that 105, 110. So it's a matter of, we hope, if this version of the coronavirus does what it normally does, that there's a beginning, middle, and end to this. It's a matter of weathering that storm. But if at the end of that time, all of these businesses are gone, it makes little difference. This is truly a lifeline. It's truly a lifeline.
Well, we're doing the best we can. Obviously, I have a staff here in Nevada, both in Las Vegas and in Northern Nevada in Carson City. Anyone interested in applying for an SBA loan, it's sba.gov/disaster. That is the way to fill the online application. Anyone that needs assistance that doesn't seem to be getting it quickly enough in a phone conversation, they can call the Nevada District Office at 702-388-6611. And I'm crazy for doing this, but I do this all the time. If everything seems to not be working in your way, you can email me at joseph.amato, it's AMATO, at SBA.gov. I've gotten probably close to 250 emails a day, and I answer every one of them. I'm an entrepreneur. I was an entrepreneur for 25, 30 years before I took this post. I understand what it's like to make a payroll. I understand what it's like to be terrified about all of a sudden my revenue is just falling off a cliff, or I don't know how to make my next rent payment, or my landlord's not working with me. We're working with the state of Nevada, with GoEd specifically. There's consumer protections that are out there that I can share some information with in the future, and that we're putting out there to the chambers, to the different business groups throughout the state, and the different state organizations that are helping as well. Consumer protection is there as well, something that both the O'Reillys can attest to as well. This is a time for us to strengthen as not only business organizations, but as a business community. And what we're trying to do as the SBA is not to be the most popular person on the ground, but be the most resourceful. By contacting us, going to sba.gov/disaster and filing an application. If you are a business, you're an entrepreneur, you're a sole proprietorship, an LLC, corporation, it does not matter. We're here to help.
I told everybody off the top, share this podcast, and you can see now what I was talking about, how important it is that people understand that this is available, that business people know that this is available to them, and that they've got somebody that is working on their behalf, that doesn't come in as an agent to the federal government, that comes to the table with the background of an entrepreneur. And I tell you, I can't imagine a better guy for the job. We really do thank you. And Las Vegas will make it through this. We always do. The guys that have been around here forever, we always do. But it's good to know that somebody's got our back. Joe
Well, Mark,
Amato,
there's one other area I think that even though it's not an area that typically falls into the area of all the good work that you do, Joe, or that we do, but what I've found and what Tim has found through the years of providing legal services is that an awful lot of good comes if we can give our clients some peace of mind. Mm-hmm. And with that, my advice to anybody that's listening to this is reach out to Joe, the SBA, ask for a loan, begin to do something positive. Don't sit there and spin your wheels, because it will make you sick if you're not sick now. And I think all the discussion we hear on television now about the issues of the virus, nobody yet is focused on, and ask anybody that's listening to focus on it for themselves, their family, and their friends, is what stress will do to each one of those people, whether they have a serious ailment now or a disease or heart issues or not. They're going to adversely affect their health if they don't take this in a positive way. And I think one of the byproducts of this that may very well come out of it is, as I listened to the TV this morning, the last couple of days, and I see the president and the doctors talking about whether they should try this medication that's been around for 20 plus years to treat malaria, and then there's a debate in the medical community as to whether or not it's a good idea or a bad idea. I hope and pray that they try it, that they keep the documentation so they know how well it works, because the documentation thus far seems to be it does not kill people. It creates a few issues for people, but if we document it, we may set this entire world of healthcare that we live in up to a new level that has never been dreamed of before, because what we're dealing with is one massive clinical trial. And everybody can consent to taking the medication. Everybody can agree, and every doctor that prescribes it can be mandated and agreed to provide monitoring results. And suddenly we can have what would take us billions and billions and billions of dollars, perhaps and probably make lives better that are suffering from this virus, and yet show us and show the bureaucrats and show everybody in the world that we, the people of the United States of America, can remake the clinical trial world and suddenly prove that there is a remedy out there that may not have been proven yesterday, but by this time next year, people can be waving flags and say, we proved it, it works. So to me, it's worth trying if it's not going to do more harm than good. And I think that if they couch it in terms of a massive fast-track clinical trial, it will suddenly get a whole lot of people who, instead of criticizing, I think will say thank you and jump on the bandwagon.
It's on the shelf. It's FDA approved. It's up to the doctor whether or not they want to use it for a different purpose. And I was looking at exactly that drug a little bit earlier, and I'm going to see if I catch it. Hydrochloroquine. Keep your ears open. That may very well get us down the road the rest of the way. Joe Amato, a very, very busy guy. I do want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today and for being here on the show so that we can spread the word out there, the good works that you guys are doing.
Absolutely. And just I want to reiterate, it's online applications to sba.gov/disaster. If you need to get in touch with someone on the ground here, my staff is working 20 hours a day at the Nevada District Office, 702-388-6611. And if you really need some direct information, because I'm on the ground, I'm meeting with businesses every day, it's joseph.amato, AMATO, at sba.gov.
When was the last time that you heard an employee of the federal government helping out that much?
It's my job.
I tell
On behalf
you.
of all our clients, I say thank you again, and all of our friends and family, and for all those in Las Vegas, thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Time for us to wrap it up. Sincerely thanks our special guest, District Director of the Small Business Administration, Nevada, Joe Amato. He's a busy guy and going all the way for us these days, and we really do appreciate taking the time. Now it's up to you because you have to spread the word on this podcast so that you can hear it directly from the man's mouth. For all of you out there who own businesses, have that entrepreneurial spirit in your heart, or care about someone who does, remember to like, share InBizLV Podcast on Facebook. You can also catch us on iTunes or Stitcher and subscribe to our channel for updates on YouTube. Make it a great day. I'm Mark Fierro. See you out there in the deal stream.